All right. Thank you everyone for joining. So we have been through a lot of issues since the day before yesterday, and hopefully, the internet will not go off today. Okay. So let's begin the class as we always do with the Shanti mantra. Om Sahana Bhavato Sahana Bhunagato Sahaviryankaravavahai Tejasvinadaditamasto Mavidavishawahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay. Okay. So we had actually discussed various yogas pertaining to the nodes, and today I just want to discuss about the nodes forming Raj Yoga. Okay, so Rahu and Ketu, although they are regarded as dire malefics, they can actually produce Raj Yoga in certain cases. Okay, and when malefic planets produce Raj Yoga, the yoga is the native attains the good things after a lot of mental turbulence. Okay, this is the speciality. Whenever malefics produce Raj Yoga, there will be a lot of mental turbulence. Will not get things on a platter all of a sudden. Okay, you have to go through a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows, and only then you get all the treasures that life has to offer you. That is how the malefics like Rahu, Ketu, Saturn, or Mars they produce Raj Yoga. Okay, now the role of Rahu and Ketu in producing Raj Yoga, it actually hinges on your ability to act on behalf of planets that exert positive power. Okay, so what are the planets exerting positive power? Those planets that rule the Dharmasthana. Okay, what are the Dharmasthanas? The first, the fifth, and the ninth house. They are also known as the Trikon. Okay, or the Karmasthanas. Karmasthanas means the Kendras. Okay, so the first, fourth, seventh, and 10th. Dharmasthanas, they are also known as the Lakshmi Sthanas, and Karmasthanas, they are also known as the Vishnu Sthanas. Okay, so from this you can derive that you know wealth comes to you when you uphold dharma, because Lakshmi is another name for wealth, and you know the more karma you do, the more purushartha you exert. Okay, purushartha means the efforts that you put in this world. Okay, so we are all purusha. All right, we are all purusha, irrespective of being a male or a female or some other gender. We are all purusha who are capable of manipulating Shakti. Okay, and how do we manipulate Shakti? We manipulate Shakti by our attention, right? And that is our power. Okay, the power to mold Shakti. All right. For example, you can take water and you can pour it into different types of containers or vessels, and the water takes the shape of those containers and vessels. Okay, so we are actually that container or vessel, and water is the Shakti that is contained within us. So in whatever way we want to mold that water, we can do it. Okay, that is called Purushartha. Okay, and Purushartha, you can exert Purushartha through your karmas. All right. Now, in the opinion of some, in the opinion of some famous astrologers or some, learned astrologers, the seventh lord is ineligible for the formation of a clean Raj Yoga. So, by the meaning of clean Raj Yoga, I mean Raj Yoga which brings bliss without any problems. Okay, Raj Yoga that fructifies without any problems. That is a clean Raj Yoga. So, most astrologers, including Pandit Sanjay Rath, or you can say Sri K.N. Rauji, they will say that the nodes are ineligible for forming a clean Raj Yoga with the seventh lord, because the seventh house is a Marakasthana. Okay, we have two Marakasthanas, the second house and the seventh house. All right. And apart from the widely accepted notion of being associated with death, the you know the notion of Marakasthana is expressed by the fact that the death of the soul. By Marakasthana, it does not mean death of the body, it means death of the soul. Okay, it means death of the soul. So the death of the soul arises from two sources of contamination: money and sex. Okay, All right. So money is, money is Venus. Money is Mercury and sex is Venus. Okay. But then Venus, if you look at the Kalpurush Kundali, the second house, which is Taurus, and the seventh house, which is Libra, it is ruled by only one planet, which is Venus. So it is Venus that, that actually assumes the role of a great Marka, although it is a guru. All right. And the other thing about Venus is Venus always rotates, it moves in a direction opposite to the sun. Unlike the other planets, Venus always moves in an opposite direction, if you have noticed. So Venus always, always acts as the Marakasthana, and the death of the soul. This is what Parashara says. The death of the soul comes from two factors, money and sex. Okay. And that is the reason why many spiritual people will be completely, trying trying to run away from, from money as well as from sex. You look at all the spiritual people, the genuine ones, that is. Okay. And how to see the spirituality quotient of a person, how to see that the person is not money hungry or the person is not sex hungry. You look at the sixth house from Arudha Lagna. Okay. Just yesterday I was explaining to one of the students of the, of the Nakshatra course. You just look at the sixth house from Arudha Lagna. Okay. And if the sixth house contains either Mercury or Venus or both, you can actually say that the person has a lot of aversion towards money and sex. Okay. It's a very good way to look at it. All right. Sixth house, Arudha Lagna, is how the world views you, your image in the world. Okay. Arudha Lagna is your image in the world. And sixth house from Arudha Lagna is that place where all the planets lose their power. Okay. So if you have benefics in the sixth house, it means they have, they have lost the ability to produce those things for you. If Mercury is there, it will not produce money for you. If Venus is there, it will not produce, good sex for you. Okay. So you look at the spiritual, at the charts of all the well-known spiritual people like Ramana Maharishi or Ramakrishna Paramahansa or Srila Prabhupada. Most of them, they had either Mercury or Venus or both in the sixth house from Arudha Lagna. Okay. And I've discussed Arudha Lagna in details in one of the videos. So please go through that recording and maybe you'll have a better perspective of that. Okay. All right. So as I said, the seventh house cannot form a clean Raja Yoga. So the discussion that we'll be having of Raja Yoga formed by the nodes will be, I'll be keeping the seventh house out of question or out of consideration. Okay. So Raj Yoga, as I said, it can be formed by either Rahu or Ketu. Okay. Under the following scenarios I'm going to discuss right now. And it is mostly preferred that the nodes get associated with the lords of these houses. Okay. Even aspects will do, but association is preferred. Okay. For the Raj Yoga to fructify properly. All right. So how does the Raj Yoga happen? Okay. So if the node occupies the first, fourth, or the 10th house. Okay. Acting as a proxy for the dispositor. Okay. If the node occupies the first, fourth, or the 10th house and associates with the lord of the first, fifth, or ninth house. Okay. This is a Raj Yoga. For example, Capricorn ascendant, Rahu occupies the fourth house. Okay. And is in the 10th house. Let's say Rahu occupies the fourth house. Right? Rahu occupies the fourth house. And is in the, is in the, say, fifth house with Mercury. I'm really sorry. Rahu occupies the fourth house and is in the fourth house with Mercury. That is a, Raj Yoga. Okay. Because the node is occupying a Dharmasthana, that means a Kendra, and is associating with a Trikona Lord. Okay. Which is Mercury, because for Capricorn Lagna, Mercury becomes the ninth Lord. Okay. So such a Raj Yoga, it is equivalent, it is regarded equivalent to a, to a Dharma Karma Adhipati Yoga. Okay. Similarly, if one of the nodes occupies the Dharmasthana, that means the first, fifth, or the ninth house, and then associates with a Kendra Lord, not including the seventh Lord, then again it is a Raj Yoga. Okay, for example, again, say it's Capricorn ascendant, Rahu occupies the ninth house. Together, with Mars. Okay, so that is a Raj Yoga. All right. So it's it's statistically also these combinations, they do happen. Okay, and as I said, Raj Yogas produced by Rahu and Ketu, they will give you a they will give you a lot of mental turbulence before they fructify. All right, and Mars ruled ascendants, for example, people having rising sign as Aries or Scorpio, they have the best chance for the nodes to form Raj Yoga in the charts. Because why? Because the Kendra and the Trikona lords are all different planets. Okay, so it gives more opportunities for the nodes to connect with the main planets. Okay, similarly, if you see the ascendants which are ruled by Mercury and Jupiter, that means Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Sagittarius, they have the least chance for for Raj Yoga formation by the nodes, because then the Kendras are ruled by only two planets. Okay, they what it means? It means there are fewer opportunities for the nodes to connect with the Kendra or the Trikona lords. Okay, now the nodes, it is as if they pull strings from the shadows. Okay, and they are multifunctional and they are capable of participating in yogas in various ways. Okay, and although they are inherently malefic, often displaying a tendency for obstruction and disturbance or derangement, under the right circumstances, the nodes can readily exert a benign influence by functioning as proxies for the positive house lords. Okay, and this capacity to act in both malefic as well as benign ways is reflective of their shadowy nature. All right, of course there will always be this confusing and confounding influence of the nodes, whether they remain as standalone elements or in in conjunction or aspect with other planets. But then this complex functionality, it serves as a reminder that even while acting as a yoga karaka, these nodes can still exert their natural, you know, malefic nature. Okay. It is like when natural, papa grahas, they become functional or temporal benefics. Okay. So we now look at the, configurations of Kala Sarpa that exist. Okay, just give me a couple of minutes. I'll just have the example charts ready. I'll just pause for a couple of minutes. Okay. All right. So now we look at the types of Kala Sarpa. Okay. So as I had mentioned in the very beginning of this class, that means that the orientation program, the cases of classical Kala Sarpa is very, very rare. Okay. It's very, very rare. But then, that having said, Kala Sarpa as a yoga, it might fructify even when there are, when there are other classes of Kala Sarpa as well. Okay. And based on configuration, as I said, Kala Sarpa exists in 4 different classes. Okay. So I'll be presenting those classes here in descending degree of potency. All right. And for better illustration, I have mostly focused on the charts of politicians. Okay. So class 1 of Kala Sarpa is the perfect Kala Sarpa. Okay. It is the perfect Kala Sarpa. And the conditions are Rahu and Ketu, they alone have to occupy their opposing signs, and they should have no association with any other planet. Okay, by association I mean they should not be conjunct with any other planet. Okay. The second condition is the other 7 planets from Sun to Saturn, they have to lie exclusively within the Rahu Ketu axis. Okay, so all the 7 planets, they have to occupy the 150-degree zone created by the 5 intervening signs between the lunar nodes. Okay, and the third condition is that each of the signs, they should hold at least one of the 7 planets. Okay, so this is a full-fledged Kala Sarpa yoga. Okay, and most astrologers, they say that this is the only one and only configuration that qualifies as Kala Sarpa. But then This is a combination which is very, very rare. Okay, and in my research, it occurs in only 0.3% of all natives in the world. Okay, so if I have to show the chart, just hold on here. Okay, so I hope I am being clear. So this is the chart of Margaret Thatcher. Okay, Margaret Thatcher, and look at this condition. Okay, so this is perfect Kala Sarpa. All right, this is perfect Kala Sarpa. Yes, Rahu and Ketu mutually opposing each other, and each of the planets, they are, within the Rahu Ketu axis. This is on the upper half in the North Indian chart. All right, this is a perfect Kala Sarpa yoga. All right. So as I said, this combination is very, very rare. It occurs in only 0.3% of all individuals as per my research. Okay. Now the second class of Kala Sarpa is called the potent Kala Sarpa. Okay. And the potent Kala Sarpa has three conditions. Number one, Rahu and Ketu should be alone in their signs. And number two, the Saptagrahas, they should be occupying at least five signs. Okay. But then those five signs may, are not all occupied. What I'm saying is, for this potent Kala Sarpa, the other seven planets, they may bunch up in two or more signs. Okay. As a result of which, the other, signs between the Rahu Ketu axis may be vacant. Okay. If you look at this perfect Kala Sarpa, no sign within the Rahu Ketu axis is vacant. Okay, all the signs have been occupied by planets. But if you look at this second class, which is known as the potent Kala Sarpa, you see these two signs between the Rahu Ketu axis are vacant because the other signs have been occupied by more planets. Okay, so this is another Kala Sarpa. Okay, now there would be people who would say that if Rahu and Ketu are in the ascendant, Kala Sarpa gets cancelled. It does not get cancelled. It does not work that way. Okay, it does not work that way. So this is a chart of Benito Mussolini. All right. So this is a potent Kala Sarpa yoga. And, as per research, it occurs in only 2% of all natives. Okay, just 2% all over the world. All right. Then we have a third type of Kala Sarpa, which is known as the partial Kala Sarpa. Okay. So the condition is that all these seven planets, they will gather exclusively on one side or the other side of the Rahu Ketu axis. But then one or more planets may be, maybe in one or both the signs occupied by the nodes. That means they may be conjunct with the nodes. Okay. So this is known as the partial Kala Sarpa yoga. Okay. So this is the chart of Ariel Sharon. He was the Israeli prime minister. So this is a partial Kala Sarpa. Okay. This is a partial Kala Sarpa. You look at this. Ketu is joining Saturn and Rahu is alone. Okay. And the other houses between Rahu and Ketu, they are occupied with one house being empty. Okay, this is a partial Kala Sarpa. Now people will say that if any one planet joins the node, then it is it is not a Kala Sarpa, but the effects are are there to be seen. Okay, and according to statistics, this partial Kala Sarpa, it occurs in 3.8% of all the natives. Okay. And finally, we have a class, the fourth class of Kala Sarpa, which is known as the potential Kala Sarpa. Okay. So this potential Kala Sarpa is formed when all the seven planets, they span the seven signs counted inclusively from one node to the other, or one or more planets lies at a higher degree of longitude than the node with which it shares a sign. Okay. So this is known as the potential Kala Yoga, Kala Sarpa Yoga. Okay. So look at this, Donald Trump. All right, Donald Trump. So planets with both the nodes and the planets, they have greater degrees than the nodes with the other houses being occupied, one house being empty. Okay. This is potential Kala Sarpa. All right. So potential Kala Sarpa people, this is the most common form of Kala Sarpa that exists. Okay, it is the most common form of Kala Sarpa that exists, and it occurs in around 6.5% of all the natives. Okay, it occurs in 6.5% of all the natives. All right, but then you will see that you know that there will be some charts where all the planets they are within the Rahu Ketu axis, but just one planet remains out of that axis. Okay, you'll see that in many charts. You'll see all the planets are within the Rahu Ketu axis, and one planet is finally out of the Rahu Ketu axis. So that is a it's a difficult chart. Okay, because what happens is that one planet breaking the Kala Sarpa Yoga will give a lot of troubles during its dasha. Okay, unless and until the planet is retrograde, it will find a way to mitigate that trouble. All right, unless and until the planet is retrograde, such a planet, and that planet, if that planet is out of the Kala Sarpa Yoga, the Kala Sarpa axis, it will give a lot of trouble during the dasha or antardasha. Okay, if it is retrograde, then you have to look at the chart completely differently. Okay, so any questions still here? Any questions still here? No questions. Okay, so now there is a there is a lot of conflict of opinion whether Kala Sarpa is a yoga or a dosha. Okay, and from a technical point of view, Kala Sarpa is a yoga. Okay, that is, why is it a yoga? Because it has a defined combination of astrological factors, and it has a profound effect on the native of the horoscope. That is the reason it is a yoga. Okay, and some old astrologers whom I've met, they say that Kala Sarpa offers self-enlightenment or union with the gods of fame, fortune, power, and pleasure. Okay, and in its optimal form, that means in the perfect Kala Sarpa, it promises to deliver much more than is desired in the realm of human experience. Okay, and some astrologers, there was a very old astrologer here who was, who was associated with me till 2016. He said that unless and until Kala Sarpa kills the native, it can actually make him or her a king. Okay, that was what his opinion was. And there are other astrologers who will say that Kala Sarpa is an unmitigated dosha. Okay, what is a dosha? Dosha means a blemish, a defect, a fault, or a problem. Okay, and it is regarded as the astrological equivalent of a coiled cobra lying hidden in the grass, awaiting an opportune moment to strike its victim. Okay, and who is the victim? The unlucky owner of this configuration of Kala Sarpa. Okay, and there is a universal dread prevailing around Kala Sarpa, and the dread has been exploited by a lot of unscrupulous astrologers who depend upon cajole or coerce susceptible clients into buying remedial gemstones, or or paying for pujas and yagyas to relieve the threatened afflictions. Okay, now there are two rules that actually are said to determine whether Kala Sarpa becomes benefic or harmful. Okay, and the rules are anulom or vilom. Okay, anulom or vilom, and this is a way to determine whether it's a yoga or a dosha. Okay, so the anulom condition occurs if all the planets are moving towards Rahu. Okay, Rahu and Ketu move anti-clockwise. So if the planets are moving towards Rahu, then it is seen as problematic. Why? Because Rahu represents the head of the serpent. Okay, and it contains its fangs and poisonous venom. So this is the cobra's most dangerous part. Okay, so the planets which are moving towards Rahu, they are pierced by its fangs and swallowed in its jaws. Okay, and those who subscribe to this logic, they say that Kala Sarpa in the Anuloma direction is a major affliction or dosha. Okay, so all the planets, they move anti-clockwise. Rahu and Ketu, they move clockwise because they are always retrograde. Okay, in the Viloma condition, the planets are moving towards Ketu, and this is this promises some relief, and the pattern is 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 said to confer wealth or spiritual powers. Okay, troubles will still arise because it involves Rahu and Ketu, but they will be minor or they will be manageable. In fact, they will be manageable. Okay, and Ketu represents the tail of the cosmic cobra, and the only threat lies in coiling about its victim. Okay, you see how a cobra coils around the victim. It grips you with the tail. Okay, so if you're lucky enough, you can actually escape. All right. And those who follow this logic of Anuloma and Viloma, they say that, Kala Sarpa in the Viloma direction is a benediction. Okay. And this is actually known as, some people will call it as Kala Amrita. Okay. So this is about it for today. If you have any questions, I welcome them. And I'll join you in 8:15 at 8:15 for the Jyotish Foundation class. Okay. The link will be shared in the group. So thank you so much for joining in. Do you have any questions?
No, none from me.
Okay, thank you so much,
Thank
Shannon.
you.
Yeah, all right then. I'll see you. I'll see both of you in the Jyotish Foundation class at 8:15. Okay,
See
thank
you
you.
then. Bye.